Innocent kids out for a car ride with a drunk mother. It is the perfect storm for disaster, what the head of Mothers Against Drunk Driving has called the ultimate form of child abuse.
It's a problem that's often missed, hiding in plain sight right inside the home. The FBI says the number of women drunk drivers is growing nearly 30% in the past decade. The drinking and driving stays a secret until something terrible happens. Here's Juju Chang.
It's the ultimate tragedy, a mother behind the wheel in a crash that turns deadly.
Investigators have wondered what made a mom drive her minivan full of children the wrong way down a New York highway.
The mom reportedly driving drunk and stoned, killing herself and 7 others in a head-on crash. It left a grieving father and husband in utter disbelief.
I never saw her drunk since the day I met her.
His adamant denial leaves everyone wondering, how could any parent ever drive drunk with their kids in the car?
Wake up.
Hey, is there someone we can call for the children?
They are images that are hard to fathom.
Hey, wake up.
Like this video shot by a Florida TV station of a father passed out and arrested for driving under the influence.
They're taking the kids.
The stories seem to be everywhere, with 911 calls from frantic children.
Dad, you don't need to be driving drunk! Slow down!
Cooking 911, operator 5142.
My mom's making lonely in the home.
She was drinking last night?
Yeah, I think she's gone for a while.
As a trooper, I was very aggressive on drunk driving, and I was proud of my ability to pick up on that.
Dealing with these types of cases is something Carl McDonald, a former lieutenant with the Wyoming State Highway Patrol, considers his life's work.
I would walk up to a car and tell you whether or not that driver was sober or intoxicated.
But there would be one drunk driver whom Carl did not suspect and who changed his life forever.
I was living my life around a woman who was intoxicated often and didn't know it.
How could that be?
I don't have an explanation for why I missed it. Maybe the heart is blind.
The woman was Carl's wife, Susan, a dispatcher with the sheriff's department and the mother of their only child, Carly.
There came a time in the house, there was a bottle of rum on top of the refrigerator. And one day I looked at that bottle and I saw that there was more in the bottle than there was the previous day. And I knew immediately that was a problem. I did a search around the house and I found 3 empty bottles carefully wrapped in the trash so that they wouldn't bang together when I carried out the trash.
Carl's wife, Susan, worked hard to hide her drinking from those around her, even as it escalated.
How much were you drinking?
I'm sure I was drinking at least a 5th of whiskey a day.
A 5th of whiskey a day?
Sure.
That's a lot of alcohol.
And I was driving.
Every day?
Every day.
So you were a raging alcoholic.
Raging is a good word.
What did it cost you over time?
Oh my God. What didn't it cost me? What didn't it cost me?
Because of her drinking, Susan lost her job. Her 3-year marriage to Carl ended. And with the divorce, Carl sought and won primary custody of Carly. For 2.5 years, Susan would see Carly regularly, but sometimes the visits were just too difficult.
That was so bad, I didn't want to see her. I didn't want her to see her. I didn't want her to see me like that.
So you avoided Carly because you didn't want her to see you?
I didn't want her to be ashamed of me.
Carl and Carly were very close, spending lots of father-daughter time together. Carly would even help her dad at work.
We did a number of programs with other children together where we demonstrated how seatbelts work. She wouldn't let you start a car without fastening your seatbelt.
As Carl spent more time with his daughter, Susan was spending less, and Carl had suspicions about what was happening.
I knew that Susan was probably reaching the bottom of her spiral.
Then, after Christmas in 1997, Susan called, wanting to spend New Year's with Carly.
I was worried, as always, about my daughter's safety, but I was also in this position where I had these court orders that said that I would not interfere with custody.
So Susan took Carly to her home. On New Year's Day, Carl called to wish his daughter a Happy New Year.
As usual, I told her I loved her. I knew she would be coming to my house the next day. And told her I couldn't wait to see her again.
Later that evening, despite drinking, Susan went out driving with Carly.
When people look at it from the outside and they think, how could a mother do that?
It's an illness. It is an illness. It is sick. It is sick in so many ways.
And so in your mind, you hadn't even been drinking that much.
That's right.
What did alcohol do to your judgment that day?
Well, I imagine it probably just tossed it out the window.
With her judgment impaired, driving almost 50 miles an hour over the speed limit on a highway ramp, Susan rammed into a tractor trailer.
The next thing I remember is they said you've been in an accident.
And when I got to my driveway, I pulled up to the house and this trooper came over to my window. And he said, there's been a crash, a bad crash, and I have to take you right away.
Did you know that Carly was in the crash?
I knew that by what he said, and at the front door, he grabbed my elbow. And he said, Carly didn't make it. At that moment, my world came to an end.
Susan was hospitalized with multiple injuries and was found to have a blood alcohol level of 0.22, more than twice the legal limit. For Carl, it was too much to bear.
The night of the crash, I thought about taking my own life. I thought that I can't live without my daughter.
Carl dealt with some of the grief by pushing for a tough sentence for his ex-wife. Susan was convicted of vehicular homicide. The sentence, 2 to 5 years, less than what Carl had hoped for. She ultimately spent 14 months in prison, but her self-imposed punishment never ends. Her back was broken in the accident, and in many ways, she is a broken woman.
It's the wound that never heals. It never heals. No matter what I do, I can't go to prison and serve a term and get her back. Bottom line, I can't get her back, no matter what I do.
For Carl, the death of his 5-year-old daughter inspired him to leave the highway patrol and join forces with Mothers Against Drunk Driving. One of his first roles was educating people about cases like Carly's.
It's taking place every day. 2/3 of the children that are killed in alcohol-related crashes are killed by those that are supposed to be taking care of them. That's horrendous.
These cases have become a priority for Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
We believe that if you're driving with a child under 16, that's a form of child neglect. They don't have a choice whether to get in the car with you oftentimes.
Laura Dean Mooney is the national president of MAD, a group that's pushing for known offenders to have mandatory interlocks.
BAC .090, failed.
Devices that require the driver to pass a breathalyzer test.
Car won't start.
Before the car can start. It's something Susan thinks might have helped her. The loss, says Susan, made her never take a drink again. It's why she now counsels alcoholics and women coming out of prison. And it's why she spoke with us.
I don't want another parent to lose a baby that they could have protected.
A huge piece of us is gone forever. It's hideous because it doesn't leave a scar, and you can't see it, but it's there.